So we've made it to the second edition of this podcast. And so and so the first the first podcast, we had no idea what this was going to turn into, and we still don't really know what it's going to turn into. But for those of you who are listening for the first time, my name is Dan Johnson, and sitting across from me, I don't know how far apart are we?
Probably like 300 miles, I would guess.
300 miles. Okay. About a 4 hour drive, give or take.
Yeah.
Four hour drive, is Dan Matthews. And we actually have a name of this podcast
Officially.
now. Officially. We did a digital handshake on it, right before we started recording. And the name of the podcast is the 2Ds, One Podcast. And so we got a name, dude. That's the step in the right direction.
Dude, it's so good. And I really wanted to get a feel for what people thought about it. Because initially we wanted to do double Ds. I mean, that was like early on when we were talking about it. Everything double Ds is already taken, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
people love double Ds, dude.
They just really do. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the 2Ds, One Podcast, I feel like it's pretty good. Nobody's going to forget that. No. They're not going to be like, man, what was the name of that podcast?
They'll 2Ds, and it's a play on words, right? Dan.
Oh yeah.
And Dan, and D's also means, for those who don't know, also means dicks. So,
I thought you were going to say dads. I thought dads. It was two.
Dude, look at how many meanings it has. It should be like the triple Ds, but sometimes triple Ds are probably too big, dude.
Triple Ds. There was a girl in high school that had 36 double Ds when she was like a freshman. Mm-hmm. And that always stuck in my head. I had no idea what those numbers meant at that point in my life, but I knew it was good.
Yeah. Was she fat?
She was not. She was
okay.
Dude, she was like, man, I bet she was 5'1", 5'2", and just looked like she could topple over at any minute.
Dude, there was a girl I went to school with, and she would always brag about how big her boobs were, but at the same time, I think she was like 200, and so and so it was like, okay, dude, like, congratulations, but that's not the same as someone who's like 120 and having the same chest as you do.
No,
so
that's like, oh man, I could bench 300 pounds, and it's like, yeah, well, you're 400 pounds of solid muscle. Yeah. So that's not really good. Or like a 7-foot dude bragging about how big his feet are.
Or that he can dunk. Yeah, dude, I can dunk. Yeah, dude, you're 7 foot. Of course you can dunk.
Yeah, you can like blow your nose into the basket. Okay, that doesn't really count.
Oh man. Yeah, it's weird. Like, and this is great, because I was thinking about this morning a little bit, like I always do. And there's the age-old debate. Are you a boob guy or are you a butt guy? And when I was younger, way more immature than I am now, I was a boob guy. But something happened throughout the course of my life where I started to appreciate ass way more than I do boobs. And I honestly think it came somewhere around the time my wife was breastfeeding our first child.
Dude, that is a common thing. I feel like that is maturing as a man. All right. Mm-hmm. When you transition to being a butt guy, it's like you've kind of not fully peaked as a man, but like you're in the top 10% now. Yeah, because everyone's infatuated as kid. Like, when you're a teenager, every kid's infatuated with boobs. It's like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Dude. And don't get me wrong, I still appreciate them greatly, but
for different reasons. They bring life.
Yeah,
they bring life, and so I can remember in 8th grade there was a girl. There was 2 girls, and they were in the same class, and they were maturing faster than all the other girls. And so here I am, an 8th grader. The girl sat in front of me, and she would turn around and talk to me. She knew what she was doing too, dude. Like, I would put my hand on the back of her chair and just like talk to her, and she would turn around and she would kind of rest them right on my fingers. And I was
you weren't
like,
able to stand up for like
no,
15
dude,
minutes
no.
after that?
If the science teacher would have told me, hey, Dan, come to the front of the room, I would have just been, nope, can't right now.
I just broke both my legs, man. I'm
exactly.
sorry. I can't get up right now.
The old math book. Oh, dude, she knew what she was doing. Most girls know what they're doing when I don't know.
How weird do you think this is for people to listen to, though? Two grown men talking about 8th grade boobs.
Well, we're like now, if we were, see, we're talking about when we were young, but if we're talking about, dude, like if right now, if I started going, oh, dude, 8th graders, that's a problem. That's a big problem. But if now that I'm talking about when I was in 8th grade and how I was reacting as an 8th grader, that brings more perspective than some creeper. You know what I mean?
No, I definitely get that because you're still reliving it from you being that age.
Exactly.
But it's funny because when I hang out with the guys and one of them brings something like this up, like, oh, dude, in 6th grade, this chick was so hot. I'm like, dude, are you talking about a hot 6th grader right now? And they're like, shut up, man. It doesn't count. Like, that's not how it works. And I'm like, no, I totally get it. It doesn't. But in my mind, even, I look back and I'm like, okay, the hottest chick in middle school, in high school, whenever, in my mind, they don't look like a 6th or an 8th grader.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like in my mind, they're a 30-something-year-old girl now.
Now they are.
Now they are. But even thinking of what they looked like, it just doesn't register to me that they were that age. I don't know. It's weird.
My whole perspective is in the middle of changing right now, as I have a 6th grade daughter. Okay.
Oh, dang, that sucks.
It is like, I don't even know how to talk about it quite yet. Like, there's something coming. She's getting ready to blossom, or whatever term you want to use here, pretty soon. And I'll tell you, there's certain things that I feel like I'm that dad who can talk about anything with my daughter and really, tell her hard truths. But there's certain things where I'm like, mom, like, you got to go talk to your mom about that, because, she's growing. And when I say growing, she's growing physically, she's growing mentally. And I don't know if she knows how to handle both of those things the same time yet.
Oh, she doesn't. She's going to emotionally just become a wreck.
Oh, she's there, dude.
I had 3 older sisters, and it was chaos in my house. Luckily, I wasn't old enough to fully understand it. I was at the age where it was just like, yeah, my 3 sisters are crazy. That's just how it is. You know what I mean? Because they were all older. But looking back on it now, I am so glad I wasn't like 17 when they were all teenagers. It would have drove me crazy. Yeah. But your daughter also knows how to hold her own. Like, that's got to give you a little bit of peace of mind when it comes to dealing with guys and stuff.
A little bit. She's got a boyfriend. They've been dating okay, so here's how a 6th grader dates. Are you my boyfriend? Yes. Okay. And then they don't do anything. They've gone to one movie, I think, together with another parent. And I guess I'm okay with it, because they're not together and they're not doing anything. Sometimes they text, they get each other little presents for birthdays and Valentine's days and things like that. But the reality is coming to me. And that is, I know how I was when I was going through that teenage Dan Johnson, the Dan Johnson that used to put his fingers over the chair and let some busty 8th grader lean on him. Right. And then also how I started acting when the testosterone started just coursing through my veins at a very high intensity. Dude.
Yeah.
I know that now I'm going to have to become psychopath dad just to hold off. And I think my daughter is beautiful. And maybe like, I joke around a little bit and I'm like young Julia Roberts, right? Like I think my daughter kind of has a Julia Roberts type vibe about her. She's a very attractive woman, and I think if my wife or if my daughter continues to grow like that and stay active and athletic, she's going to become beautiful. And we all know what happens with beautiful women. They're going to get chased. And now I have to become psychopath dad and really maybe put a stop to it.
Yeah. There's no level to which I wouldn't go to protect my daughter. And my daughter's crazy already. She's 6. Mm-hmm. And she is an emotional wreck, but I love her to death.
Yeah.
And I think about like what my dad had to go through with 3 girls in high school. Mm-hmm. And just how he was crazy. Like I was the super protective little brother who was tiny. I graduated high school at like 110 pounds. I was small. And
I was 110 pounds in 4th grade, dude. No joke.
I could see that, dude. I could totally see that. But like my sisters would have guys come over and like to pick them up for a date or something like that. And I'd be like, dude, you better take care of my sister.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, oh, haha, all right, little buddy. Mm-hmm. I got you. I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like, have you seen my dad? And do you know that I can shoot a deer at like 300 yards? And they're just like, whoa, what? Like, why is this kid talking about killing deer right now? I mean,
I'll gut you. I'll gut you just like a deer.
And I think about it now. I'm like, if I was dating someone and they had a little brother that talked to me like that, I'd treat him like that too. But dude, I was serious. Like, I will mess you up if you hurt my sister.
Yeah.
And, but then I think about, me as being that age where all other brain function completely ceases for a while.
Oh, yeah.
There is only one thing on your mind ever. I remember, did you go to camps like as a kid? Did you go to like
Boy
sports
Scout
camps or
Boy Scout camps? I did a couple sports camps. The sports camps were never overnight, but I was in Boy Scouts, so we did like long camping trips and things like that. Yeah,
that was all boys. You didn't have any like co-ed camps that you did?
Maybe a church camp.
Okay,
but they had us separated. You know what I mean? Because I think they knew. They knew that.
Those were the best weeks of my life. Were church camp. Because you're you stay in separate cabins, all these different things, but then there's free time. And free time is just like, go do whatever. My mom started coming and chaperoning our church camp trips. And I remember I was making out with this girl down by the lake, and these 2 girls from my church that liked me got really jealous about it. So they went and told on me. My mom comes and finds me. She's like, what are you doing? Oh, I was just hanging out with so-and-so. Were you kissing her? Yeah. Were you like really kissing her? That was her way of saying making out. Were you really kissing her? Yeah, I was really kissing her. Okay. You got to be smart, blah, blah, blah. Didn't even like have the talk. Just like, hey, don't be stupid. The next day, I'm making out with a different girl.
You're a slut, dude.
And these girls lost their mind. So then they went and told my youth pastor, who was furious, but he was like, I'm going to have his mom talk to him. So she's like, who are you down there with? And it was a different girl's name. And she's like, what happened to so-and-so? I'm like, I don't know. I couldn't find her. Like, it's just, this chick was here.
Whoever was closer. Whoever was the closest.
Dude, and that's just how it was. And she's like, okay, you can't be doing this with 2 different girls,
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I mean, it's church camp, but that's what it was. Like all of my buddies, we knew like, listen, it's going to be a makeout fest at church camp. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to play sports. We're going to worship Jesus, but we also get to make out with a lot of girls.
Make out with some hot babes. I mean, why did God create church camps if he didn't want you to make out hard with some other girls? Right? That it's training you for the future.
Yeah. At what other point will you get to make out with youth girls from a different church?
That's right.
Church camp.
That's right. So I had a little bit different of an experience with church camps, and our church went down to New Orleans. Whoever thought it was a good idea to send 35,000 Lutherans to New Orleans at one time and go to the Superdome and have like this worship service for like 4 or 5 days blows my absolute mind. You want to talk about one of the most, like, certain areas of New Orleans are awesome, but we were down by the French Quarter, which is disgusting. You get off the bus and it smells like vomit and old booze. And so we were there and we were experiencing New Orleans. And then at the end of the day, we do all the church stuff. We had free time. Dude, we were walking around New Orleans, and at that time, New Orleans was like the murder capital of the world. I think this was like 1997. And so, like the Lil Wayne had just started coming out, right? And so all those guys were kind of popular at that time, I believe, in like the late 90s. It was just the beginning of some of that, like No Limit, like the No Limit Soldiers, like Master P and all that stuff. But our chaperones were like, okay, make sure you're back by 11 o'clock. So here it is, after dark in New Orleans, just cruising the streets.
You're just walking the streets,
just a group of white kids from Iowa just cruising the streets of New Orleans. And like nothing mattered. And luckily, like nothing happened to us. But man, I got so many stories about that trip. We were in a hotel just going wild. And this kid we knew from another church, like a neighboring town, they had delivery services. And so he would take NoDoz. He would take this dude would take NoDoz, and then he would order from a liquor store for delivery. And they didn't card you if you ordered it delivery. He bought a bottle of vodka, and he was on NoDoz and vodka, just crushed, like hyper and drunk at the same time, like sweating his ass off. And,
oh my gosh.
And like hanging out with all these girls. And I was like, dude, how is this guy, like, all these other girls know that he's wrecked right now, but there's like, he's the life of the party. And so I was like, dude, I want to be like that. I didn't drink on that trip, but I got introduced to like the real world on that trip in a hard way. And so we are in the French Quarter and we're walking down the street. It's me, my buddy, and two other two girls, and it is white person central, like Clueless. We're walking down and we walk into this neighborhood. The houses are somewhat nice, and then we get into another little neighborhood and the houses just aren't as nice. And we're just like, oh, we're just cruising, looking around this town, and some black lady comes out of her house and she's like, what in the hell are you doing right now? And we're just like, we probably said something extremely white, like, this is a free country. Like, we can go wherever we want. And this black lady was like, you get your ass out of here. You turn around, because if you go any further down that street, you're going to leave this neighborhood in a box. And then we got real scared. And we're like, okay. So we turned around and started to walk, like the fast, uncomfortable white person walk. Yeah. You remember? I don't know if you know what that is. It's like just straight everything, like a power walker, just walking back into the.
If you don't know what that looks like, go to your local mall and just look for the dude who's constantly checking his watch. You'll see him like 5 times while you're at your mall.
The old mall walkers.
Yep.
And so, and then that same day, we tried to, like, we got hustled while we were there. Some guy comes up to us like, hey, welcome to New Orleans. You guys need anything? And we're like, oh, thanks. Beautiful city. This is awesome. So much fun. And he's like, you see these hands? I'm like, yeah. He's like, these are hard working hands, man. He's like, I work hard for a living, and so my time ain't free. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I just spent 5 minutes talking to you about the city of New Orleans. You're going to pay me. And I'm like, what? So here we are. Like, I believe it was like a Velcro wallet. I don't know, that I got from some birthday probably 10 years ago when I was like 10 years old or, 7 years old. And I just open up the Velcro wallet, pull it out. I had traveler's checks and cash that this guy could have easily robbed me and took me for $300. And so I took out a $5 bill. The other people took out $5 bills and handed him to him. We just got politely robbed is what I felt like. The dude didn't take all of our money, but he just took $20 and then he was like, get out of here. Okay, dude. All right. So long story short, don't have a church gathering in New Orleans. You shouldn't do that.
Dude, the worst thing that we would run into in central Wisconsin, you might stumble into a random fish fry. We're not getting hustled by some dude on the streets, you know? But I was on the way back from Wisconsin, coming back down to Missouri one time. And this is before, I probably just didn't have the technology, but I just had a flip phone or something like that. Maybe I had a BlackBerry. That's probably what it was. I like a BlackBerry. We're driving and I'm in no cell service. My buddy is actually driving. I'm passed out in the passenger seat. And all of a sudden I wake up to him grabbing my arm. And immediately I'm like, oh crap, we have a flat tire. Mm-hmm. Well, flat tire is an understatement. I can feel the car jolting and I look and most of the tire rolls past us as we stop on the shoulder. So I'm like, dude, we got to figure something out. We have no cell service. So I just start walking. I'm like, I'm going to walk and see what's ahead, And so I start cruising. This guy ends up picking me up and he's like, hey, where are you heading? I said, got a flat tire. I'm trying to get to Walmart. I'm pretty sure there's one up here. He goes, yeah, there is. He's like, I can't take you to Walmart, but I'll drop you off at that exit. So he drops me off, go into the gas station. I'm like, hey, where's Walmart? And the guy's like, it's about 4 miles that way. And I'm like, okay, 4 miles. Now I'm walking 4 miles that way. I start walking and I'm walking long enough to where I'm like, I feel like I should have come up on Walmart by now. You know what? It's probably just ahead. Keep walking. Finally, I stop at another gas station. Hey, where's Walmart? He goes, oh, you got to go back to the highway and head north. And I'm like, dude, that's where I came from. I'm like, are you sure? He's like, dude, I've lived here all my life. That's where Walmart is. I start walking and it's freezing rain somewhere in northern Illinois or it might have been southern Wisconsin. And all of a sudden this car pulls up behind me. Turn around. This couple gets out. Hey, you need a ride? I said, yeah, I got to get to Walmart. I get in the back seat. The lady's driving. The dude don't know what he's on, but it's definitely something. I'm sitting in the back seat in the middle behind the two of them in a 2-door car. So I'm like, I can't really get out if I had to. I'm pretty much stuck back here. We see Walmart and these guys maybe drove me a mile. Mm-hmm. And the dude goes, yeah, man, I know we really helped you out, but if you got any money, to help cover gas, that'd be great. And I'm thinking, how do I play this? Because
I gotta have money for a tire.
Yeah. I'm like, man, I wasn't planning on getting a flat and I don't have much money. I have to make sure I can cover that. I was like, I might have $5 or $10 after I pay for the tire. Mm-hmm. He's like, oh, dude, it was a lot. We really didn't have to stop. You got 50 or anything like that on you?
$50 for a 1 mile
dude,
car
I don't
ride?
have any. I said, I have 5 or 10 maybe. Mm-hmm. And he goes, well, I'll tell you what, we'll come into Walmart with you and you can get some cash back. And I'm like, this dude is serious. He really, really wants, he's going to follow me around until he gets some money.
Were you afraid at all at any point during this?
As soon as I got out of the car, I was not afraid. Okay. I was like, I can tell this guy to screw off at this point. Yeah. But sitting in the back of the car, I'm like, I'm pretty much helpless. I'd rather not be in a car that I can't get out of without literally going through one of these two people. Yeah. And so once I got out of the car, I ended up getting $20 and I was like, hey, thanks a ton. This sucks, but here you go. And he's like, you sure you can't do more? He's really, really pushing. So
was he sweating at all? Could you tell this dude was on drugs?
You could definitely tell he was on something. I don't know what it was, but he was on something. And so I'm going through all this, right? And all of a sudden my phone rings, and it's my buddy Jake, who stayed back with the car. And he's like, "Where you at?" I said, "I just got to Walmart." He goes, "We're here." And I'm like, "We're here? Who's we?" And he goes, okay, so it was in southern Wisconsin. There was like some highway initiative that they were doing where they would essentially tow your vehicle off the highway for free if you were at your vehicle. And so this tow truck driver stops, hooks him up, takes him to Walmart. So I go through all this, walking through the freezing rain, hitchhiking with 2 different people. And he's like, he's like, "Yeah, I think they're going to be done with your tires soon." And I'm like, "You got to be kidding me." I was super thankful because I didn't have to wheel a tire all the way back to the car where it was on the highway. But yeah, it was just sketchy, man. And I'm like, the balls that you have. In my mind, if I help somebody out on the side of the road, I'm not like, "Hey, what you got on you?"
Yeah.
"Oh, your car broke? You have to pay for a new transmission? Well, you got to pay for my services too." I'm not wired that way.
Yeah. Especially when you get into a coupe, right? Where there's only 2 doors and a back seat. And then in your mind, did you ever fear like, dude, I might have to commit a sex act just to get out of this car?
My mind did not go. I just
didn't go that far.
I might have to defend myself. I think I'd start throwing hands.
Yeah.
Faster than getting on my knees and smiling like a donut. Okay. Like that's just not, my mind always goes to violence first.
Okay. Violence first, then sex. Violence first, then it's like, okay, this guy's bigger than me. I'm going to have to commit a sex act now. Just to get out of this 2 doors.
I really think you fight back against most people because, like, I'm not a small guy now. I'm not a huge, like, overpowering dude, but like 210 pounds and I work out. So, like, I could hold my own against quite a few people, I feel like.
Okay.
In a 2-door car, I feel like I'm almost at an advantage if I'm in the back seat. Like, I can't imagine turning around and trying to fight backwards.
Right.
From where I'm at, I could probably get a couple good licks in before I even got hit.
Yeah. And the fact you could probably overpower the woman easily. Like, punch the guy a couple times and then cross, like, just a mean right cross right to this chick's face, and she'd go down heavy. And then you could probably get out or use her head to break the window, and then you could crawl out the window. But think
about that though. Think about, like, in my current physical state, I'm not as flexible as I used to be. My joints hurt more than they should. And I think about having to, without someone leaning the seat forward, get out of a 2-door car from the back seat. I'm like, dude, that sounds exhausting.
Yeah.
You know? And now add in that there's 2 people in the car that don't want you to get out of the car. Like, that'd be a rough day. I'd probably feel the effects of that for a couple weeks.
Yeah. Speaking of being in uncomfortable situations, and I think that's what the title of this podcast should be, is uncomfortable situations.
Or comfortable, depending on where your hand is.
Exactly, dude. Do you ever sell anything on Facebook Marketplace?
I used to all the time until the scammers started. Once the scammers started, I was out. Yeah. I just got annoyed by it.
Right. So I've sold couches. I've sold old camouflage and like hunting gear. I've sold, old tools or, just random stuff, just like what it's there for. And one time, this is multiple times, I sold a couch. We sold one was a love seat and one was a 3-seater, like a bigger couch. And both times I've sold the couches, just the biggest pieces of white trash have showed up to buy it. Right. And the money, they had the money. So the money really wasn't an issue. It was the vehicles that they decided to drive to come pick up said couches. And so the first one, the guy showed up in a car to move a 3 seat couch. And so I was like, he pulled up and the funny part was watching these people. After I sold it, I went back in the house. I looked out the window to make sure they were off my property. And I'm watching them have this conversation about how they were going to get this couch into their car or on top of their car and then move it wherever they were going to move it. And I was
what
like,
kind of car are we talking though? Are we talking like a Crown Vic or a Bonneville? Or
no,
it was a
4-door. It was a 4-door. I'm guessing it was like I don't know. Like it was a 4-door, maybe like an old Mercury, like a early 90s Mercury. But I mean, it was just a piece of junk. And so, and so they're sitting, and then because I had my truck in the front yard, in the front parked there, but I had a topper on my truck at the time. And I see this guy talk to this girl he was with and then start making his way towards my house. And in my head, I'm just like, I'm going to have to do something about this. Like, I'm going to have to help move them. And so he knocks on my door and I'm just like, Jesus, man, come on. And he ends up telling me, hey, can we borrow your truck? And I'm like, no, you can't borrow my truck. I will never see that truck again if I let you borrow it. And so I go across the street and I'm just like, my neighbor Pete, I'm like, buddy, can I use your truck? And he's like, what'd your family show up? He always gives me shit like,
yeah,
your family moving into town, buddy. And I'm like, dude, just let me get these bums out of here. So I had to load up this truck, and the guy's like, okay, follow me to my house, and then we can drop off the couch. All right, so my neighbor Pete helps me get the couch into the back of his truck. I then get in the truck and I'm following this guy, or he gives me the address, and I'm following this guy. And then we get lost in traffic. Okay. And so all I have is the address. I don't know. Like, I find the house, and they weren't even there. So I waited like 5 minutes to kind of see where I was gonna
beat them to their own house.
And so I pulled in and I did like the empty the bed of the truck fast, where I just like put it in reverse, hit the gas, slammed on the brakes. The couch kind of slid halfway out. I pulled the couch out the rest of the way, dropped it, and I just took off. And then I met him on the street, and I was just like, I'm getting out of here.
Oh my gosh.
The second time I sold a couch on Facebook Marketplace, have you ever seen, maybe, I'm guessing there was some harder core drugs involved, and then also alcohol. Have you ever seen a real, like, 20 years into drug and alcohol abuse, what those types of people look like? Like, I am talking the hardcore. And I think I sold this couch for maybe $30, right? They showed up in like a Ford Escort. A Ford Escort. All right.
And it's confidence. That's what it is at the end of the day. All of these people in dire situations, they've got that way by being if you're buying a $30 couch off Facebook Marketplace, you have been overconfident your entire life. And you're like, you know what? I can do crack cocaine just once.
Yeah.
I can.
Yeah. You know what? I might even be able to do it for 2 times or 3 times, or maybe even for a week straight. And then
Jeb, you think you can do it 12 times? You know what? I'll do it 13.
Next thing you know, you're buying $30 couches on Facebook Marketplace
and loading them on your Ford Escort.
So this couple shows up, and I'm guessing, I don't know if they're married or together, but they're both rough. Like, they pay me, and then I do the same thing. And I go back into the house. I'm kind of watching them. My neighbor Pete text messages me again. Hey, family showing up again? Your family's in town. Why didn't you tell me? I'd come over and say hi. And I'm like, fuck you, Pete. But they can't. They're so weak and like deprived of any nutrients other than meth that they can't even pick this couch up. And so, knock on the door. I come out, and they're like, do you got any rope? I'm like, rope? Like, what do you think you're gonna do?
You're not gonna ask.
You're gonna
use my truck or trailer.
Yeah.
You just need some rope.
Need
and you
some
got
rope.
it covered.
And so the lady's like, it's not gonna fit in the car. And he just snaps at her. He's like, shut up. We're not. And then they're both just sweating profusely. Like, this is the hardest thing that they've done in the last 12 years, right? Is literally try to put a couch on in a car. So anyway, I took the cushions off. I stuffed them in the back of their car. I picked up this love seat by myself, and I was scratching the shit out of their roof. Right? I just forced it on top of their car. I had some old rope in my car, and I just wrapped, I had them roll their windows down, and I just wrapped it around their car. And like, I was like, get out of here. And when they pulled out of my driveway, the whole couch shifted backwards, but was still on their car. And then they drove off, and who knows, like, whatever happened. Like, my gut tells me they're not even alive anymore, those people. That's how rough they looked. Who knows where that couch is? I'm guessing it's in a dump somewhere because it fell off of their vehicle on the way to their apartment, or I don't know, methadone clinic or wherever they were staying. So,
dude, I've dealt with people like that on a number of occasions. But the most recent one, we bought property a couple of years ago, and I was working on cleaning it out. And first off, we go under contract on this place, and I know I'm going to do a bunch of like gravel and concrete work. So I contact the selling agent and say, hey, can I have my buddy come out there and get some measurements for work that he's going to do? He needs to get it on his schedule. He goes, yeah, I'll let them know. So we go out there, and this property, it's 25 acres. It has a trailer house on it, which people were living in. And the idea was for us to like fix it up while we built on the property. So anyways, these people are living in the trailer, but they're renting the trailer out in the country.
Okay.
Me and my buddy are out there doing gravel work, and I look over, and this car pulls in, and it's again like a 90s, like bigger body car, pulls in, parks to where there's no way out of the driveway. The guy gets out of the passenger seat. The guy gets out of the driver's seat. The lady's in the passenger seat, and combined weight's probably around 600 or 700 pounds between these two.
Oh, they be thick.
They're not small at all.
Okay.
And he gets out, and as soon as he gets out, I notice a pistol in his hand. I go, oh, well, that's super fun. So he comes out. Who are you guys? I said, hey, I'm under contract on the property. We're just getting some measurements for work. You can't be here yet. And I'm going, this is going to go south in a hurry. Like, we could for sure outrun him. Most people aren't going to be able to hit anything with a pistol on the run, right? So this is all going through my head. My buddy Sam, who is very passive, is like, dude, like, should I be getting my gun out of my truck? I'm like, do not get your gun out of the truck. Like, that is the worst thing we could do right now. So this guy comes over. He's all huffing and puffing, yelling at us. And finally he chills out, like puts his hand out, shakes our hand. And we're like, oh, okay. He's like, yeah, he didn't tell me you were coming. I said, well, the agent said he was going to let you know first. And after 10 minutes of conversation, he looks down at his hand, realizes he's still holding this pistol. And he goes, oh, don't worry about that. And I'm thinking, you're going to address this after 10 minutes of talking? After you walked over here super, super upset? And it like, those seem to be the same type of people I sell things on Facebook Marketplace to. I wanted to do it as a living. Like, I legitimately wanted to just flip things, and it was addicting to see how much money I could make. The day I would buy something, I would post it for sale. And this is back in the days of the
eBay, the height of eBay.
No, eBay was probably in full swing at that point, but this is back when Facebook, they had the gun buying, selling, and trading groups. I don't know if you were ever a part of those. That's okay. Like pre-marketplace.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
So it's like Facebook buy, sell, and trade, and it was like Missouri Firearms buy, sell, and trade. And so you're going on there and saying, hey, I've got whatever gun, this is how much I want for it. They show up. You're like, oh, gotta ask if you're a felon. Ha ha ha. Oh, you're not? Here you go. Here's my gun. And then I'm like, this is strange times, like that was back in the day. I grew up in those type of times. So one day I get a call from this guy, and I was selling an AR, and I get a call from this guy.
The fat guy. That was
no. This is just some random dude.
Okay, random dude.
Some random dude calls me because you know how you would post your number like 873, and then you would type out 520, whatever, so that like bots couldn't call you. And this guy calls me and he goes, "Hey man, you still got that gun?" I said, "Yep." He goes, I'm on my way through there. I'm coming from Colorado heading to DC. I said, okay, so are you a Missouri resident? Because like in order to sell, they had to be from at least the same state as you. I mean, legally, not Facebook rules.
Okay.
I said, dude, I can't sell it to you if you're not a resident of Missouri. He goes, I don't know nothing if you don't know nothing. And I'm like, yeah, but I know something. So like, it's probably not going to work out. And he goes, like I said, man, I don't know nothing if you don't know nothing. I got cash. I don't want papers on it. And I'm like, why are you going to DC? And why are you buying an AR on your way to DC? Like, do I need to report, And so now I'm thinking to myself, I'm glad I didn't give him a meetup spot. I'm glad he doesn't know anything except the 50-mile radius that Facebook tells him, like it's somewhere in this circle.
Yeah.
And ended up not selling to that guy. And at that point I realized maybe I'll buy firearms on Facebook Marketplace, but I'm probably done selling them for a while.
Yeah. I just envision like you meet up with the guy, he buys the gun from you, no problem, right? Then you see him on like the nightly news where there's some kind of lunatic breaks into some public office and blows people away, right? And you're like, oh, like, and then you hear the cops like, yeah, we have the serial number on this firearm, and we're doing the back research. We're looking for this man, and it's a picture of you on the nightly news. Yep.
Oh, crap. Yeah, you better hope you've got an alibi or a Ring camera or something that like shows where you were. I mean, this just came to mind. I feel like we could stop crime by selling guns and just removing the firing pins before we sell them. And so like shady guys like that, when they're like, hey man, you got this gun. I need it last minute. I'll pay extra. And you're like, yeah, absolutely do. And then this guy goes to shoot up a place and it's just click. And he's cycling rounds one after the next, trying to figure out what the issue is. And every time just click.
In this scenario, you have become a scammer, right? So like, imagine if you bought a gun from somebody and you went for like home defense. He wasn't shooting places up. He bought it for home defense and he tried to pull the trigger. And now guess what? Click, click, click. And his family's murdered because of you. So now
can't we just stay the hero in our hypothetical stories, Dan?
Dude, you got to play devil's advocate at some point. So you're associated with a murder, dude.
Yeah.
How would that make you feel?
That would not make me feel great. But also it's like, hey, upon further review, this guy's firing pin was removed and we think Dan Matthews did it. Like, we're diving into deep conspiracies, although now there's record of me telling that I'm trying to foil mass shooters' plans by taking out critical parts of guns. So
right.
I mean,
I want to go back. I want to go backwards just a second.
Yeah.
And I don't know why this pops into my head, but I want to talk about fat drug addicts. Okay.
Let's do it.
Because like a real good drug addict, they're always skinny, right? They're always real lean, maybe some scabs, missing teeth. Like those are the heavy duty drug addicts. Like what kind of drugs are fat people on?
Heroin.
Does heroin make you lose weight?
I don't know. My brother, dude, we should get my brother on this podcast. My brother was a heroin addict for like 11 years. Wow. And
was he fat?
He was. He
all
gained
11 years.
He gained a ton of weight on it. I remember showing up and I was like, dude, who is this guy? Yeah. And yeah, he was very, very heavy at that point. And he lost a ton of weight, even just in the first 10 days of detox because he couldn't hold food down. He was throwing up, super dehydrated, he'd try to drink a bottle of water and it would come up immediately. But yeah, he gained quite a bit of weight when he was on heroin.
Huh. That heroin seems like, I don't know. Did he ever talk about heroin? Like,
oh yeah.
Like what it felt like? Because I have talked to a guy who did heroin once and he's like, imagine orgasming for 20 straight minutes. That's what it felt like. And I'm like, well, I like to orgasm, but I don't want like spiders to be on my skin all day long. And he's like, oh, no. You don't get spiders on your skin from heroin. That's from meth. And then he talked to me about like all the meth that he did. So I don't know. Heroin sounds awesome, but at the same time, there's a lot of dudes who do heroin then kill themselves. And I don't want to kill myself.
No, heroin's, I've never done it, but it is, dude, it wrecks people, man. I knew way too many people who have died from heroin overdoses. Like my cousin died. Two of my really, really close friends in high school died. My brother luckily didn't. The week that we got him to rehab out in Colorado, my hometown had like double digit, like probably a couple dozen deaths from fentanyl being cut in. And my brother told me, he's like, dude, they will intentionally murder people with their drug because hardcore junkies are like, that stuff must be good. And it's actually a marketing technique. You want people to overdose on your drug because other people will think you've got the good stuff. Those people were just stupid and didn't know how to use it. And they'll all flood in to buy your stuff.
Jesus.
Yeah. Dude, the stories that my brother has, man, of like the houses that he went into and just like getting robbed from like people robbing him and then his dealer going, hey, these two are going to go take care of it. Give them an address. And he's like, no. And they're like, hey, they're like, Josh, I'm telling you right now, like they're going to take care of it or it's going to be on you next time. And he's just like, they were going to go and murder this person because they stole $20 from me.
The drug lifestyle is bananas, right? Like it's absolutely bananas where $20 can get you killed. And at the same time, here I am bitching. This is how good my life is. I was bitching the other day that they raised parking rates in a parking garage. I'm like, oh, they're paying $1 more an hour. Like just so privileged.
It's like the Nate Bargatze bit where he's like, you hear stamps went up again? Like you would think World War III kicked off when stamps increase by a penny.
Oh my God. I'll tell you, I don't know, like hearing stories from like those crazy stories about like, I know a couple guys who are undercover cops and detectives and things like that. The stories that they tell are just absolutely ridiculous. What a person is willing to do in order to get enough drugs to get high one time.
Yep.
Like that blows my mind. But also, they're like, it's some of the funniest, like when some of these people get arrested and then they're like, they start questioning them and they start making up these lies that are just completely, I was going to the Hobby Lobby so I could get some decorations for my daughter's birthday party. Hey, dude, you don't even have a daughter, right? Like, what's going on here? So,
have you done a ride along with any of those guys?
I have not done a ride along with
Dude,
any.
You want to have the most fun for free? Go find somebody who does a really tough beat in the town, in whatever big town is closest, and sign up to do a ride along. You can sign up like with the sheriff's department. You can sign up with city police. You can sign up with all these different whoever you want. And I think you're limited how many you can do. It's like one every 6 months or something like that. Yeah. I went and did a ride along with my buddy Matt, and he had the worst beat in the worst part of town here in Springfield. And it was like you were in an episode of Cops, but like you're the camera guy, you know?
Okay.
Like all of the craziness that you see on Cops, you're out there doing. And I asked him right away. So to start the night, we go into the briefing room. Everyone's sitting there. We're all talking. They introduce me. The captain or sergeant or whoever goes over the night and what they have to work on. So Matt's like, hey, I'm going to get the cruiser. I'll meet you up by your car. Well, I had like Monster energy drinks and Cheetos and like food for the night because it was an overnight thing. And I'm getting my stuff out and he comes flying up. He's like, get in, get in, get in. So I just throw all my crap in the car, jump in, and we just tear out of there. And he's like, just listen. And all of a sudden on the radio, I hear, we're getting reports of a woman beating a man's face in with a tire iron in the Walmart parking lot. And I'm like, holy crap. So we're going in the middle of the city. He's like, normally I'm limited to 80 miles an hour, but my sergeant said I could go as fast as I want because I've got a ride along tonight. So we're going 100 miles an hour in the middle of town on like 55,
which doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't.
You have another passenger in the car. You're allowed.
Just went way up. Now he got a pay. It was one of those things where it's like, hey, show him a good time.
Yeah, show him a good time.
Maybe they really needed to recruit at that point. Like cop numbers were down, and he's like, if you go 100, he'll sign up. You know.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm holding on to whatever I can. 100 miles an hour. We get to Walmart. Boom, lights and sirens go off, and now we're just creeping through the aisles, and we see this lady step out, and she's got all these different colors in her hair, skinny as can be, like definitely a meth head. This dude is walking, and he's got only sweatpants shorts on. They are low enough to where you can see the base of his shaft. I mean, like,
the
that's
neck.
how low they are.
The dick neck.
Yeah, and he is covered in cuts and bruises and bleeding all over the place. And she sees us, he sees us, they both freeze. Matt goes, wait in the car. He's like, I'll signal you when you can come out. I said, dude, if they start shooting, can I grab this shotgun? And he goes, absolutely. And I'm like, in my mind, like, that's where I'm going. I mean, obviously that's never going to happen. Right.
Right.
He's the bulk of police never get in a shootout, but he's just like, yeah, man. Yeah, like, you got it, pal. And
I could see you kicking the door open with a shotgun, pulling the trigger, and shooting the cop on accident.
Dude, I just think of like how fun. Imagine how confused.
Citizens arrest! Citizens arrest!
Get down. I can imagine how confused these meth heads would be if Matt's being super chill, like, hey guys, what's going on tonight? And then some random dude in a button-up shirt and slacks jumps out like, get on the ground.
Let me see your hands.
Who do we listen to right now?
Good cop, bad cop, yeah.
And I don't even think I could get his shotgun down. I think it was like some type of like weird lock that he would know how to use and I wouldn't. Anyways, so he signals me to get out. We go over there. And she first beat him with a tire iron. Then she was trying to choke him. And this is all happening in the cab, in a single cab pickup truck. Because he forgot the receipt for a return. And the most shocking part about this was that they had a receipt. I'm like, I would have definitely expected this to just be a stolen item that you were trying to return.
Right.
And so anyways, we arrest her. He just takes off. He's like, hey, am I free to go? Matt's like, yeah. And he just sprints, gone. Just runs as fast as he can, mostly naked, across the Walmart parking lot. And that was one of, armed robbery calls, kidnapping, domestics, like all of this happened in one night. And I was like, I don't want to be a cop, but I could definitely do more ride-alongs.
Okay. I have so many questions that need to come out of this conversation. In the briefing, did they tell you, like, do not get involved in this? Or were they just like more of like Super Troopers, the movie, where they're like, hey, man, if you see some shit go down, feel free to use this shotgun and start opening fire at random people, right?
No,
or jump into the fight when they're trying to, like, you know, like, I don't know, like put a knee on someone's back while the other cop is trying to handcuff them.
The briefing literally had nothing to do with me and no instruction for me. This was like the full shift briefing. Okay. The only thing they did was introduce me to everyone. Hey, yeah. Matt's got a ride along tonight. Matt, why don't you introduce him? He's like, this is my buddy Dan. I'm like, hey, what's up? And like, that's the full extent of my involvement in the briefing.
Right.
And then,
so no instruction at all.
No, like, instruction. It was 100%. No. I was literally in a button-up shirt, tucked in to slacks. They're like, you have to dress up. You can't just be in whatever clothing. And I'm like, this doesn't make sense. Like, why would I be in a button-up shirt in the passenger seat of a cop car? You know, and that's just what they're like, it has to be semi-professional. And I'm like, okay. So then my buddy, Matt and I, we had known each other for a long time. So this wasn't just like me jumping in with some random guy. Matt's just like, oh, dude, things get crazy out here, man. Like, we're probably going to arrest this guy named like Lillard or something weird. And he's like, yeah, we'll probably end up arresting him tonight. Like, that's kind of it's been about a week. He's normally in by now, you know? And so he's going through all of these things. He's like, yeah, we cruise around, we run plates. Like, if we see a car in front of us, like, if anything is off in his mind, which it's insane, the intuition that you get as a police officer just from a little bit.
Yeah.
The first people we encountered were those guys. And then we talked to another person who's like pleading their innocence. For me, I'm like, oh yeah, they're probably telling the truth. Like, I've watched Cops enough to know that everyone's lying all the time.
All the time.
I'm like, in person, it's pretty believable. And he's like, no, they're full of shit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, no, I don't know. I kind of believe. He's like, no, I'm telling you, you're going to hear that exact thing 100 times tonight. Sir, I'm super respectful. Sir, no, I would never do that. And he's like, it's all a lie, man. And like it was just wild. So yeah, we did all this different stuff. Matt ended up actually getting in a shootout a couple weeks after that. We went and hung out with him and his wife, and he's like, yeah, dude, I go back tomorrow. Or no, he went back that day because he had 2 weeks paid leave after a shootout. Yeah, I ended up shooting this dude, armed robbery thing at a gas station. He got pointed down the street, and he went after the guy, and the guy wasn't listening. He kept putting his hands in his sweatshirt, walking away. And all of a sudden, he walks past this car on the street, jumps in front of it, and then pops out and starts shooting at Matt.
Holy cow.
I'm like, holy cow, dude. Like, I could have been there. I could have grabbed the shotgun, man.
Yeah, you would have caught a straight to the chest, and then it's like no more ride-alongs for Dan Matthews.
No. We finally caught the suspect that sold this guy an AR, and he was in a cop shootout.
Somehow, they're like he's on his little computer in his office or in his cruiser, and all of a sudden your name pops up for a warrant for your arrest for gun smuggling in Missouri.
I'm Nicolas Cage in The Lord of War, but like super small town on Facebook.
You know, here's the thing. All of these stories that you've told seem to fit in right along with my stereotypical view of Missouri. Like, yeah, dude, check this out. Like all these drug addicts and like getting stuck in a car. Like, I know, like I've driven through parts of Missouri. I've been around the Ozarks area in Missouri. Yep. So for me, a lot of those stories just make a lot of sense. And I believe every word that you've said today about those stories, and they just seem to fit in perfectly with my view of what Missouri actually is.
Missouri's crazy, dude. People think Missouri is like this Bible Belt, like middle of nowhere, just nothing happens. our area, for whatever reason, maybe it's because people are bored. Mm-hmm. They're bored and overconfident, so everyone's doing meth. But I heard the first year that I lived here, it was like the new talking point, like, 417 area code, it's the meth capital of the world. And I'm like, I've never fact checked that, but I believe it just from driving around. So, I got to finish this out with I'm in Colorado a couple of years after this ride along happens, right? My wife and I, our guilty pleasure is watching Cops in jail. Yep. And it's just like, if there is nothing on, if there's no new movie or new series that we've been watching, it's Cops or jail every time. Mm-hmm. And so we're sitting there, we were house sitting for some friends. We're sitting there watching Cops. And I'm like, dude, how do I know that? Like, they look really familiar. This lady's getting arrested outside of Home Depot. And I'm like, what the heck, man? I know her. I don't know how, but I know her. And all of a sudden I see the badge on the cop's shoulder says Greene County Sheriff. And I'm like, it all clicks. That's the chick we arrested in the Walmart parking lot for beating the man with a tire iron. And she ended up making it on an episode of Cops. And I felt a little bit, I was like, not only that, I kind of somehow in this weird, super secondhand way felt like a celebrity because I was part of arresting this chick who finally made her Cops debut.
So you know how everybody was like, when a band comes out and they always say, oh, I was listening to them before they were popular. So I was like, I was doing a ride-alongs arresting meth heads before they made Cops.
Before they made it to Cops. Yeah. It was a weird moment where I was like yelling, like, it's her. I figured it out. And I messaged my buddies. I was talking about it all week at work. Like, dude, I just watched an episode of Cops, man. And it was a girl that I arrested on a ride along years ago. And people are looking at me like, have you started using meth? Like, what is wrong with you?
It's one of those situations where you're so excited about something and nobody else gives a shit about
not even
what you're
one
telling.
Person.
Yeah.
It's like a pickleball like, dude, I found this new sport. You play with 75-year-olds and it's like ping pong and tennis combined. And you're like, hold on. Is this in your dream last night? Like, what are you talking about? And they're just fired up about it. No, it's pickleball. It's taking the country by storm.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is it?
Do you remember that movie? What's it called? The Office? The movie? Is it called The Office?
Space?
Office Space. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Where that guy, what does he do? He gets hit by a car and then he invests all the money into the jump to conclusions mat. And the guys are just like, that's the worst idea I have ever heard. So people, you're all excited about it. And your buddies are just like, damn, dude, it's the worst story I've ever heard.
Yep. That's just kind of the story of my life. And when I hang out with my buddies, I'm like, oh, dude, you got to hear this. You got to hear it. It's the equivalent of my kids telling me a joke that doesn't make sense.
It's
like
not
the
funny.
Punchline is boogers.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what?
Yeah. You got to laugh at it anyway, though.
Yeah. Oh, good. That's a good one, buddy. Yep. And I'm like, that's how I feel sometimes when I tell my buddy stories. Now, every now and then a story hits hard and they all love it. But for the most part, my stories are pretty dumb and you had to be their moment. So
I tell you what, here's one thing I feel like I'm good at, but I'm not perfect at. All right. I feel, especially around my wife and her friends or any like scenario where there's groups of people mingling, I'm good at like bringing humor into a situation. I can nail timing and bring a lot of laughter sometimes. But then there's some times where like I strike and swing and miss on a joke, or it's like way over anybody's head, or it's way too one thing, like maybe it's political and I'll crack a joke and people just straight face stare at me, and they're like, dude, like, my wife gets real embarrassed and then gets pissed at me, like, why'd you say that? Why did you do that?
And all my other stuff hit hard.
Yeah, like, you weren't laughing when I was, telling the other, making cracks at, all these other jokes and stuff, and then it ruins a little bit, and then you come back and you slam again, and then you're back to normal. Like,
yep,
that's one. See, I'm not perfect at it, but I'm good at it.
But okay, so that's my sense of humor. Like, in a social setting, I can just drop lines in there, like, come back real quick, and people are like, okay, that's hilarious. When it doesn't land, it really kind of hurts my soul. When I say something and it doesn't go well, I'm just like, I will think about those for a long time.
You're just extremely embarrassed about yourself.
I mean, are you the same way where you're like, dude, I really thought that was, and it gets even worse.
A hit.
I did one the other day. I think it was just yesterday or the day before. My mom and her husband are in town, and so my brother and his wife have been coming over, and like, I said a joke and I thought like the room is going to erupt in laughter. Well, somebody else was kind of talking at the same time. And so I was like, oh, they didn't hear it. So then I repeat the joke thinking that nobody heard it. And the same response. And I'm
no, guys, did you hear what I just said?
Yeah.
Did you hear what I just said?
Because you said this. And it's just like, I should have just let it die.
People are just like, Jesus, Dan. Dude, like, shut up.
Oh, Dan thinks everything he says is funny again.
Yep. Yeah, I've been there quite a few times, and it's just like, and then people expect you to like I don't know, it just like it completely kills the vibe of whatever was going on because you made a shitty joke. Yeah.
Dude, I've been there before, dude. I've done them where people get really, really offended. And I'm like, that wasn't, like, I don't understand how it was that bad.
Yeah, I made a joke about Taco Bell. Like, what's offensive about that?
Yeah, I did. Well, I mean, this one, I could definitely see it being offensive, but the guy wasn't around, and we were working for him.
Yeah, you didn't use the N-word, did you? Like, you weren't just, like, extremely racist?
And then I was like, oh... That's right, we were working up in New York for this guy. It was just a summer deal. He was looking for college kids to like come and help clean out a couple properties. And his mom was an extreme hoarder and she wasn't doing well. And so like she was in a home. He's like, hey, she lived right next to my grandparents. We're going to clean out both houses, both properties, get them ready for sale. Basically, you're going to stay there. I'll pay you X amount, whatever. And it's going to probably take 2 or 3 months. So me and like 5 other college kids go up there and we get there. And when I say extreme hoarder, I'm talking like the full 3-foot tall path in each room and just trash everywhere. Nice. And so he made it sound like we're just cleaning house. Like everything gets trashed. Everything gets thrown away. But then as the weeks went on, he just would be like, oh, no, don't throw that away. Don't throw that away. Save that.
So he's a hoarder too.
So I'm picking up like a screw, like a drywall screw on the ground. And I go to throw it away. He's like, whoa, I think I know what that goes to. And I'm like, I can't do this. Like, this is going to drive me crazy. Early on, it was just like everything's going in the roll-off. And now he's being picky. So anyways, me and all these other college kids were hanging out one day, eating lunch, taking a break, something. And I was like, yeah, man, I just feel like I can't take a crap without asking his permission to flush it. Like, he's trying to keep everything now. And 2 of the girls were almost in tears because of that comment. I cannot believe you would say something like that. And I'm like, what?
Like, things just took a weird turn all of a sudden.
It was so awkward. And then like my closest friend who came up there just to like, we're like, we can be in New York. It was this girl that we ended up dating later on. But later on, she's like, yeah, I think that was a little too far about that comment. And I'm like, I thought it was great.
I thought I nailed it.
Yeah. And they were very offended by it. And the other two girls didn't really talk to me the same after that. They stayed upset about that joke. And
so
I
not
still think
only
about that joke.
So not only did that joke not work in that audience, but also it was so offensive to that audience that they stopped being your friends. They didn't want to even hang out with you anymore.
Hold on, let's clear this up. Those two were never, they were like the weird girls that like, I don't know. They were just around. They weren't like, I was never close to them before or after this.
Okay. They were just
two of
another
the people I knew very well. The other two, not even, like, maybe had one conversation with them leading up to this trip. So, yeah. That wasn't skin off my back, but
yeah. But you were hired to clean the house of a hoarder.
Yeah. So me and the one other guy, we did most of the property stuff outside.
Okay.
And then every now and then the girls would be like, "Hey, we need help with this." The problem is we couldn't throw anything away because we had to look at everything first because we noticed, I don't remember, the dining room table was probably stacked 2.5 feet tall with magazines, newspaper, the whole thing covered. Okay. And it was a big dining table. Some of these things went back to like the 1950s and 60s.
Okay.
And I was looking through a magazine one time, and it was like an old Sears catalog or something, and there was $100 bill in one of the pages. And then there was like a $10 bill like 5 pages later, and we realized that they were hiding money in everything.
No shit.
So the three girls that were working inside, they had to go through every single item. I mean, pairs of socks that had been in a drawer for 40 years would have money rolled up in them. And so at that point, they really couldn't, it wasn't like you just throw everything away. You had to go through everything away, then put it in a pile to be thrown away or put it in a keep pile. And then the guy we were working for started ordering the pods and having them dropped off so we could load them to ship them back to Missouri for him. And meanwhile, me and Brandon, we're just in the yards. I mean, we're clearing out trees. It looked like a jungle in the middle of Long Island. And I think we filled 4 30-yard brush dumpsters just with debris from these 2 lots. We were finding dead cats everywhere. Like,
yes.
I think we've probably found 30 or 40 dead cats.
In the house or around the property?
No, all around the property. Everything that she had, she turned into a cat house. So like she would have a wheelbarrow tipped up like this on a cinder block for a cat shelter. The problem is some of those things would tip and then trap the cat inside of it. So it's like you would pick things up and there would just be a dead cat claw marks everywhere. and in the garage, I mean, the whole garage, floor to ceiling, was stacked with cat food, dry food, wet food, cans, you name it. So then it's like Brandon and I are having to load his pickup truck up and go take this stuff to animal shelters. And so that was our job. The girls had the really crappy job of cleaning inside of the house.
Yeah. Yeah. So my wife not only likes to watch Cops and Live PD and things like that, she also likes to watch shows like Intervention and Hoarder, where you just see some of the most mentally disturbed people. Like my favorite episodes of Hoarders is when they're getting ready. It's like, okay, so we've got this room cleaned. Let's get into the kitchen. And they open up the freezer and it's all of this lady's dead cats throughout 20 years. 20 years. She had 20 years worth of dead cats in her deep freeze in the garage and cats in her freezer. And she's like, I wanted to give them a proper burial, but I didn't know when I wanted to do it. So she put all these cats in a deep freeze.
Oh,
imagine,
my gosh.
Imagine having to go like be the crew that went in, and some of these like deep freezes, imagine the smell where the power's out so it's no longer freezing and you open up that where food has been decomposing or animals or feces or shit like that. has been like,
dude, anything around food, like that.
I'm getting disgusted thinking about it right now.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is, so talking about a deep freeze, I had a deer that I shot years ago, and I put it out at the property that I hunt. My buddy now rents the house. We used to rent it when we first got married. And so I took like this deer head, put it in his freezer. I'm like, hey, I'm going to come back out and boil it. That was 3 or 4 seasons ago. And like 2 months ago, I was like, you know what? I'm going to grab the Sawzall and bring it out there and finally just cut the antlers off of that buck, because it's been sitting in his freezer for years. And I get out there. I'm like, hey, dude, gonna finally get that deer out of the freezer. And he goes, I don't even care anymore. It quit stinking. Like, it went through the full phase of just smelling bad. And now it like no longer did. I mean, its eyes were just gone. Its ears were like paper mache. You remember like doing the paper mache around a balloon or something like that? And then it's like really hard. Like this, I could have taken a knife and just like sawed my way through the ear. It was just like a rock, but perfectly looking like an ear still. Anyways, I cut the antlers off. I've got them in the other room. So
what did you do? Did you have to like scoop out the rest of the deer head out of your buddy's freezer?
No, it was like, it was as if everything had gone through and then almost cleaned itself up.
What about all the other stuff in the freezer?
Oh, there was. The only thing that was in that freezer were 2 deer heads, but I had already taken the other one out like 2 years ago.
Okay.
When I felt irresponsible for not doing anything with it. Okay. And so it was just a freezer that was, he's been paying an electric bill to run that freezer for
just
years,
one head.
Just so that a deer head could sit in there for that long. That would have just been better to bury it and then come back and pull it up.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's crazy because like, going back to the Hoarders with Cats, like if you're going to have a mascot for the show Hoarders, like you would for like an NBA team, and your job was to, I don't know if Hoarders does any promotional events where it's like, hey, we need a mascot to really liven this party up, it would be a dead cat mascot. Because there's the only animals, well, that and mice or rats. Like the shows where they have like just a giant rat, like they're cleaning something up, they pick up a laundry and there's a rat's nest or a mice net, and then they scatter everywhere.
And they're just used to them. Like, that's probably the most disturbing part of all of it, is how okay these, and it, I mean, I don't know. I've watched a couple episodes of this show Hoarders, but it's typically like 600-pound, 55-year-old women. It seems like is kind of the demographic for.
I've never really seen a show where the hoarder themselves is like morbidly obese. Most of the time they can't be, because they have so much shit in their house that they themselves take up so much space that they need to be skinny, right? And they like they're refrigerated. Yeah.
I always thought it was like, pictured it was like these huge people. And I've seen like 1 or 2 episodes. Maybe I'm mixing 2 shows together. I don't know.
Yeah, you're probably thinking of My 600-Pound Life, or probably, what's that show called? Like the Fat Twin Sisters, where it's just 2 fat chicks.
And the one's like, you will never know what it's like to be my size. Like, quit pretending. And it's like, I mean, but really is 550 that far off from 600? No.
You'll never know.
Really not.
As they put the oxygen tank back into their nose because they can't breathe, they're so fat.
That'd be like my daughter being like, hey, bub, you'll never know what it's like to have this much money. She's got like $12 and he has 11.
Yeah.
Like, you'll just never know. I'm so much richer than you.
I feel like there is a company out there, TLC or Bravo or whatever those networks are, that literally make a ton of money selling advertisements on like people who are at the bottom barrel of life, like intervention. Let's take advantage of drug addicts and sell advertisements. Hoarders, obese people, like all of the shows on TLC, they're supposed to be uplifting, but what it is this giant network taking advantage of the most like unconfident, like struggling people in the planet.
What's the boardroom meeting for like that? Man, these people, there's a lot of people out there whose lives really, really suck. And they're
how can we benefit
through some
off that?
Serious stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we might as well watch it.
Or they're like, hey, Pepsi, do you have any interest in sponsoring a show that is going to show like the worst people in the world and what they do for drugs, drugs and money and things like, oh, geez.
It's a modern day circus is what it is. Like,
really?
Oh, come see the bearded woman. Come see the man with two faces. And it's like, no, now we just turn it to a TV show.
Yeah. Yep. And make money off of it.
Yeah. And there was one, like My Strange Addiction, I think it was.
Yep.
And little clips pop up. It's like, it's because of memes and GIFs and all that stuff that all of these like memories of TV shows pop back in my head, because it'll be like this dude. And I remember this one episode, this guy was in love with his car, and he would actually make love to his car, and he would make out with it. And like, it was the strangest thing, because he's like kissing the bumper intimately. But it popped up on my feed not that long ago, and it was like, what Toyota owners be like. Or it will like just say like one category of owner.
Right.
And I was like, that's pretty good. But yeah, this guy was weird. He was like, I could never, she's my baby. I mean, like weird stuff. And that's people's reality. Mm-hmm. Like, that's how people live.
And you want to talk about knowing your life is okay? When you flip to a show like that and you're going, oh, I thought I had it rough.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not eating Tide Pods every day, or I don't live in a house full of dog shit or cat shit. Like, I don't have dead animals I don't have whole dead animals in my freezer, right?
No, so I just memorialize the dead animals and use them as decoration. That's right. What I do.
So for those who are, still listening, I don't know if you've shut it off by now, but like Dan and I are hunters. And so we have deer meat in our freezers and like deer heads on our wall and stuff like that. And so, right now, there's probably a podcast talking about how mentally ill and disturbing we are.
Oh yeah.
Oh, they kill animals, dude. Oh my God. They got deer meat in their freezer. Jeffrey Dahmer alert. So,
dude, did you know I have the same name as the president of PETA? I
Googled
myself one time. Dan Matthews.
Yeah. You have the president. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah, we share a name, and we are totally different people. But yeah, I mean,
no shit.
It's funny because we are making. What if that was my alien? Like, it's like one of those movies where they're swapping. They're out to dinner with their date, and it's like, oh, I gotta run. I gotta go use the bathroom, and they put the glasses on and come back out, and they're like, oh, didn't know you were gonna be here. They're pretending to be two different people. What if that was just me? What if I am like this crazy hunter, a bunch of guns on the wall and dead animals, and then I'm also running PETA. At the same time.
You're living two separate lives.
Completely separate. Like shaming myself when I'm in character the other way.
Have you ever lived two separate lives in your life?
Yeah. Yeah, probably. I mean, like in high school, like the church camp, it's like I would go to youth group on Wednesday night. And then I'd be, just like everything's good. Like I don't do these bad things. And then outside of there, it's just like girls smoking weed, sneaking drinks, like that was just, it was just like being a high schooler, right? Like your parents think you're one person.
Oh yeah.
But you're not. Like you are that person around them.
Yeah. Grandparents specifically. Like my grandparents thought I was just the bee's knees.
Yep.
Meanwhile, I was every single, I don't know, probably since I was 16 or 17 years old, every single Easter or Christmas, I was hungover as shit. Going to church, hungover as shit. Sitting by my grandma, her asking me questions about how my grades are. And I'm just like, oh, I'm doing great, Grandma. Yeah. And then me and my brother would go downstairs and take like 4-hour naps. And my grandma would be like, oh, them boys are growing. They're just tired. Leave them alone. Let them take a nap. Just trying to sleep off a hangover.
Grandparents are the most oblivious human beings out there.
Yeah.
They just have no clue. Either that or they get home and they're like, hey, Marv, they were super hungover today.
They were hammered.
They were just playing really good wingmen. That's all grandparents are. They're really good wingmen to keep you out of trouble from your parents.
Yeah. Oh, I miss my grandparents, dude. Like my grandparents had a like huge impact on my life.
Yeah.
And there's only one time, there's only like a couple things in life that I regret, and we're kind of going back to jokes here. My grandpa, Dwayne, by the way, my grandpa's name is Dwayne Johnson.
Yes. Oh, yeah, dude. Didn't even register when you just said Dwayne.
Dwayne Johnson. So he has the same name as The Rock. So later on in his life, we were teasing like, dude, you're The Rock. And he had no clue what that meant. He had no clue who The Rock was. But anyway, we're driving down the road one day and I was helping him move some hay from a barn, put it in his truck and then take it to a different farmer who was buying some hay off him. And he told me this joke and I could still remember it today. And he goes, Lena and Ollie, they were hooking up a trailer. And already I knew it was bad. And I was like, in my head, I was saying, no matter what the punchline is, you have got to laugh at it. You have to laugh at this joke. And he's like, Lena, help me put this trailer on the hitch, on this the trailer together. And so then Ole looked at Lena and said, why don't you come back your trailer up on my hitch? That was the joke, dude. That was the joke. And so here I am closing my eyes, trying my hardest to laugh. And I never laughed. And I think my grandpa had an experience like what we were talking about, where he tried to nail something. It didn't work. And he was like, the rest of the day was kind of off. And he was also a little angry at, I think at himself for telling just a dog shit joke. And so I was just like, I think I maybe even patted him on the shoulder and I was like, it's okay, Grandpa. You'll get it next time. Like, don't worry, Grandpa. You got it. Like,
you can't acknowledge it.
It was horrible. And he knew it. And yep.
Man.
Yep. So
are all your grandparents gone now?
I got one grandma left. She's 88 years old. Yep.
Dang.
And she is a huge Dallas Cowboys fan. And she said something about like, I just hope Dallas wins another Super Bowl before I die. And my brother was like, not happening, Grandma.
I'd make a comment like that for sure.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, dude. Well, we're gonna have to get into our grandparents at some point because, dude, I loved my grandparents. Who I am today, I feel has a lot to do with my grandparents, man. So,
see, we'll dive into it more. I have very interesting grandparent stories as far as like how close I was with them, what I actually knew about them. Like, I'm finding out things now about my grandpa that I'm like, I don't know who my grandpa actually was.
Yeah.
Like, I think he was into some pretty crazy stuff. Like, potential actual mob stuff.
Oh, mob stuff?
And, like, the way that he talked, I always knew something was up.
Mm-hmm.
But he was an antiques dealer. Like, he would go different places and...
That was the cover. Wasn't
he would buy and sell antiques, but then he would ask certain things in certain ways. He's like, hey, Daniel, on your way home, if you're coming back for Christmas, I need you to stop at this barbecue restaurant, and this guy's going to give you 10 gallons of barbecue sauce. And you only talk to Pete. Don't talk to anyone else. And I'm like, what? I'll pay you $300 to bring me the barbecue sauce. I mean, these are real conversations that I had with my grandpa. And I'm like, what is going on? Or like a rug. There's this rug, and you're going to deliver it directly to me, but do not unwrap it. I'm not joking. Like, no. I've had these conversations. My brother's had these conversations. He went by aliases, like multiple. He would use like 5 different names. I'd be at his house and people would call and ask for Mark. And I'm like, nobody's here by that name. And he goes, who are they asking for? I said, Mark. And he goes, that's me. Give me the phone. And he'd be like, this is Mark. What do you need?
Imagine your grandpa like just taking this antiquing really seriously, but doing nothing illegal.
He's like, screwed so many people over. And it's like, me and little Jimmy, we went and got this antique before Bobby T did. And it's just like, now you have to go into, oh my gosh. But like my mom's talked about him. She's like, there's things about your grandpa that you'll never know, like that I'll never tell you. And it's just weird, man, like weird stuff. Yeah. And the way he would talk about, like he talked about my brother-in-law one time, and he just hated my brother-in-law. And him and my sister are split up now, but he's like, Daniel, why don't you take that guy Nick, that nitwit Nick, take him out on one of these hunting trips, and if he doesn't come back, that'd be okay. And I'm like, what? But he legitimately has connections in prison. Like I've got a cousin that went to prison who was having trouble with other inmates. And like my grandpa was essentially his guardian most of his life. And so my cousin called my grandpa and he's like, oh, I'll have the Olsen twins take care of it, or whatever their names were. I don't know. And he's like, let me make a call. And then my cousin like
you
never
can't
had
do
an
that.
issue. And
you can't do that. Dude. You can't. I'm sorry to interrupt. You can't say you got to have the Olsen twins take care of it, because I just envisioned twins from Full House like committing prison murder.
The Olsen twins. That was just the first name that came to mind. Okay.
The Olsen twins will handle it.
Those are the things. No, they're always like these weird Polish names, like all of his connections. And so I'm like, I don't know what he was into, but he was definitely into something that I don't think was just antiques. And most of the people that I talk to now about it, they're like, yeah, that was he talking about living 2 different lives. He lived 2 different lives, but he looked like a mob boss. I mean, he was tatted up and down his arms. He was huge. His fingers were giant. He was like 450 pounds at one point, and he would just sit there with these huge, thick glasses on and a mustache and slick back hair. And I mean, it'd be dinner, and he would just be sitting there, just grumpy as could be all the time. He did not approve of they loved me for sure, and they would do anything for me, but he did not approve of my long hair. I had long hair in high school, like down to my shoulders. I was a hippie, and he didn't. Hey, Normie, I didn't know you had another girl in the house now. I mean, he used some very vulgar language describing me that is politically incorrect.
I love it. Hey, Dan, you take care of that thing for me? Hey, Dan, did you take care of that thing for me?
It was all code. Like everything. I had to try to decipher what my grandpa was asking.
What was code for 30 gallons of barbecue sauce?
Dude, I just think it was probably some type of drugs or maybe money that was wrapped up like stuffed in the
barbecue trade
inside the barbecue sauce. I don't know. There's no telling. I would pay. I would probably pay $10,000 if I could get all of the actual answers.
Okay.
Because I'm just very curious.
Do you think you committed a crime for your grandpa without knowing it?
No, never. I never agreed to any of it. It always seemed shady.
Right. But
it just seems weird.
Oh, so you never did go up and pick up the barbecue sauce?
No.
Okay.
No, but it was all these weird stops. If you go 40 minutes out of your way, pick this up for me. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I wouldn't do that for my dad if he was like, hey, I've got this thing that I have to pick up or I'm going to lose. Like, I'm on a 10-hour road trip. I'm not going to drive that far to get barbecue sauce because also, who eats 10 gallons of barbecue sauce? Make it a little more believable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, hey, I forgot I ordered paint. It got delivered to the wrong place. Can you pick up all my paint? You know what I mean? Like I'm repainting my house or something. I don't know.
So do you think your grandpa was actually crazy, or that and playing this role because his life was boring and he wanted to pretend he was a mob boss of barbecue sauce and rugs and antiques? Or do you think he was like legit connected somehow?
So I think I've never really thought about it that way. I think he was legitimately connected somewhere. And I told my dad, I mean, I try to get some information because I'm like, I want to know if someone's going to knock on my door at one point and be like, I need to talk to you about your grandpa. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
just the way he carried himself, everything about him. He definitely wasn't crazy. He was a really smart dude, but now I kind of wish it was that. I wish it was like, my life is so boring. I'm going to try to get my entire family to think I'm in the mob, but my cover is an antique dealer. Like, that's hilarious.
That is.
I look forward to that stuff when I'm older. We joke about it. Like, I can't wait to sit on the front porch and just judge people.
Just judge people. Yeah.
Like yell at people walking down the street. And it's like, what are you going to do? I'm a 79-year-old man, you know?
Yeah.
Like, let me sit here.
I always joke, I'm going to start shoplifting. Like as soon as I possibly can, where, I mean, shit, you could do it now and just be, oh, I'm crazy or I have mental issues. And they'll be like, oh, okay, well, give it back, whatever. But when you're old, like you're in your late 70s and you just go, I got dementia. Yep. Or, you know, or have someone come with you and you're trying to sneak like candy bars or stuff like that out, or like even completely obvious things like pick up a TV box or like a microwave and just walk out the store with it and see what happens. It's confident. My guess is, depending on where you do that stuff, people don't even give a shit who work at those places. They're just like, let them go. Like, no, we don't care.
No, I don't think they would. I think you could get away with a lot. I would love to live a double life where I'm giving millions of dollars to charity and the church and to all these organizations. And then on the flip side, I'm just like some crazy crime boss at like 80 years old. Nobody has any idea.
Right. I'm sure. Just imagine some of the richest wealth in America and where it has come from. It's come on the backs of like slaves stealing money and land and like all this stuff. So you do all these horrendous things, but then you're like, you know what I'm going to do? Because of my success, I'm going to donate $1 million to this children's foundation, right?
I'm going to build an orphanage.
I'm going to build an orphanage, and all of this money was made because I killed millions of people. Like you know, like kind.
That's
so
human
kind.
History right there.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, one of my grandpas, he went to the Korean War. And so he was, I believe, he was hardened by that. And at the same time, he was a farmer. And so he was a little hardened by that. But I'll tell you a story someday about how he changed our life. But he would wake up in the middle of the night and think there were people attacking the house from Korea. And there was one night where I don't think I was there. It was the night before I was there or after I was there. I can't remember. But there was a huge snowstorm in the winter and the power lines broke in front of his house out in the country and snapped the power lines. And it was making like a whole bunch of snapping and cracking and popping noise, like real loud popping noises in the ditch. And there was like this little row of trees and then the ditch and then the road. And my grandpa shoots out of bed, grabs his rifle and just starts unloading into the ditch. And my grandma comes out and she's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" He's like, "They're everywhere. Get down. They're everywhere." And he was having a flashback to Korea and he was shooting in. He was shooting like just unloading into the ditch. Imagine if that happened like in town and he was just shooting houses and shit like that.
Dude, it's scary how your mind can just create reality for you and like snap you back into moments like that.
Oh man.
I mean,
especially in like high intense moments where you like, if you were calm and collective, you would have been able to judge that scenario a little bit different. But with all this pressure and a lot of like sound and motion going around, it's like, what are you doing? What's going on? And you just, I don't know,
dude,
open fire.
Like when you're asleep, that's when you're the most vulnerable. I feel like my dreams are so real to me. I mean, so real to where I feel, I mean, there's times where I wake up and like, say I had a dream about meeting a celebrity or like going hunting or golfing or doing whatever. When I wake up, I'm like, I feel like I know that person.
Or you've been to that place.
Yeah. Like I've actually been there.
Yeah.
And you can't, I mean, in those moments, I did that one time and it had nothing to do with like a flashback, but there was just a guy that I knew. He was an older dude and he was going a little bit crazy. And in my dream, the guy was in my house. Like he was standing in my kitchen in the dark while we were sleeping. In my dream, I wake up from dreaming and I'm going into the kitchen and I see him. Well, then I wake up for real and I'm convinced that he's in my kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And so I legitimately like grab my gun and I am walking through the house and Sam's like, is everything okay? I'm like, I have to make sure the house is clear. And she's freaking out. I'm like, I've never had a weird traumatic thing like that, but it was so real to me that I was convinced this dude was in my house.
Yeah.
And it's, I mean, like your dream, I mean, dreams are crazy. It's like Mitch Hedberg. Did you ever listen to him, the comedian?
Yep. I've known like, a little bit of his stuff.
The last thing I want to do when I go to sleep is build a go-kart with my ex-landlord. Like, I just want to rest, you know? I'm like, that's so true. Like, you have no control. You literally have no control over your dreams.
Yeah, my dreams are absolutely bananas. Like last night I had a dream. There was a lady who opened up a new business in town here. And my dream last night was I punched a hole into some drywall for some reason with my fists. And I was just punching this drywall. And then I instantly regretted punching this drywall. So I went to the owner of this company or this new business that opened up in town. And I said, I'm really sorry that I've done this. I apologize. And she's like, are you going to fix it? And I said, yes, I'm going to take care of everything. I'll do it myself. And she's like, thank you very much. And then she started kissing me. And I was making out with this business owner in this dream. And then I'm walking out of like my wife is there staring, looking at me in my dream. And she's like, what was that all about? And I go, I punched a hole in the drywall in her business. And now I'm going to fix it. And my wife wasn't mad that I kissed her. She was mad that I punched a hole in the drywall. So, you know, take that. Like, I wish there was and I know they're out there. There's got to be like a dream, like a website where if you typed that in, it would tell you what like you're actually thinking
at the bottom of a map where it's like, all right, this plus this. All right, that's what this is.
Hey, how old are you? What your age is? You know, things like that. That's hilarious because for women, it would be like, okay, I was reading a book at a library and it means something completely crazy. And then for my dream, it was like, you just want to make out with the chick who owns the new business in town.
You are just a horny middle-aged dude.
Exactly. Exactly.
I don't ever read into my dreams like super deep. If I have a really off the wall dream, I'm like, I wonder if that's got a wild meaning.
Yeah.
But almost all of my dreams are facing some type of fear, making out with somebody, or fighting someone. And I have a lot of dreams where I'm invincible and I know it. Or like some dude's robbing a place and I confront him and he shoots me in the face and I just look at him like, yeah, that didn't work, did it? Like those are my favorite.
Superman.
I know I'm in control in those dreams.
Man, you might have a complex that you think you're a lot better or cooler than what you really are.
Oh, dude, I think I'm awesome. Yeah.
See, my dreams are like I am frozen and I can't move and danger is coming to me or to my children and I can't move to protect them. I'm so like I'm frozen. And then you wake up and and then you try to move and you can't, and you're still frozen when you wake up and your heart rate's going a million miles an hour. That, or like make out sessions with my wife, or I don't know, random people from my past. Yep. Or so that, and then like out in nature doing something completely like awkward. Like I'm hiking down a trail, but I have like a pot of coffee with me, or something that just doesn't make sense. So I know we need to do is we should document for the next one of the next episodes we record. Let's document our dreams and then go into a dream explainer software and type it in and see what that tells us is wrong with us.
That sounds incredible.
That sounds like a good idea.
Have you had the naked back in high school dream? Like you're in your halls naked?
Nope, I've never had that one.
Oh, dude, I have that one. It's probably like maybe once a month now, or maybe once every couple months, where I'm like back in high school and I can't for the life of me figure out, like, wait, why am I attending high school again?
Yeah.
It's like I'd never graduated. But in my mind, I know I did at some point, but I can't pinpoint reality from my dream. Yeah. But at some point in my dream, I'll be walking, everything's normal, and then I realize I'm naked. And I'm like, it's a weird dream that I've had, a reoccurring dream ever since I graduated. So,
yeah, I'm guessing what's going to come out of all of this is that we are also mentally disturbed and probably need some kind of therapy.
They're going to come for our guns after this podcast.
and kids. Like the state of Iowa no longer deems you capable of raising children. So just tell them you love them and you'll see them, when they become adults.
Better come get my guns first.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's a perfect way to end the podcast. Is just threatening the state of Missouri, like, hey, if you're ever going to come for my kids, you got to get through my guns first. So, perfect way to end this podcast episode. If you like this podcast, we should probably tell people to subscribe at Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you download your podcast. Give us a 5-star review. That would help us out. And let's get the ball rolling on these podcasts in this episode. 2 Ds, 1 podcast.
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 Love it.